Hey, today I want to talk to you about a game called Oathhammer, and why I think it would be a nice game for you to check out. So, Oathhammer uses I think it's called the Perilous dice system. The game is a d6 dice pool game, so we are going to have uh, large amounts of dice rolled for every check. Most of the game depends on skill checks, and for the most part, they are opposed. So you, as a player, will roll a skill check and then try to oppose what the opponent, in this case the DM, is doing. Most checks are done, or rather, most dice pools are assembled with an attribute plus a skill. And then the success chances depends on the die color. We use 3 colors of dice, and each die has a different success rate or a different success threshold. If your check uses white dice, you count successes with 4 and up. If it's red dice, it's 3 and up. And if it's black, it's 2 and up. So a black die is the most powerful one. Another important aspect of the game that I forgot to mention is that dice explode, no matter the check. So if you manage to roll a 6, you roll another die, and continue to roll dice for as long as you keep getting 6s. Which means that even if you have just a couple dice to roll, if you manage to get 6s, your success levels will increase, and that can be very beneficial, especially in combat. Now, in the case of combat, this game uses a grid system. Characters usually have between 5 or 6 squares of movement, which you obviously determine at character creation. Combat, as I mentioned, is mostly comprised of opposed checks, and it's a 2-step process. First, to hit, you roll your melee or skill range and oppose your skill against, or oppose it with the opponent's defense skill. The result of this will create something known as a success value. So if you roll more successes than your opponent when attacking, the extra successes get converted to additional damage. Then after you know if your hit lands, you need to calculate damage. And damage is also opposed by the opponent's armor. Your weapons may have a property known as armor piercing, which removes dice from the opponent's armor dice pool. And again, if you roll well on this step, then extra successes become bonus damage. It is important to mention that in Oathhammer, characters usually have low HP, which means it's highly lethal. So you must be careful when facing combat scenarios. Characters have skills, or sort of feats, that they can activate, but those details can be consulted in the rulebook. Last but not least, some other interesting features of the system. The game features a domain level play system where, after completing certain adventures, or a certain amount of adventures, you gain a resource called Renown. And at 5 Renown, you are able to establish your own domain. And then the game transitions to you expanding your domain, hiring retainers and workers to make it grow. As such, you are also expected to lead armies in battle, which the system has streamlined mechanics that use the same dice pool system to adjudicate and carry out these mass battles, very similar to normal combat. You obviously have siege weapons, which are detailed in the rulebook, and there's also a hex scroll component for overland travel. There's also dungeon generation, but you can obviously supplement it with other material that you have. Now, what are some solo tips that I would give to anyone interested in running Oathhammer as a solo game? There are a few. Number one, use the NPC stat blocks as the stats for party members. They are already well balanced, so you can use them reliably, and there's plenty of options for most of the situations you are likely to come across during a game session. So it's a very well-rounded bestiary and NPC gallery. Second, and this is in regards to progression, give your main PC the max XP value for fast progression. This is detailed in the book, so just read through that chapter and decide if you want a fast progression or not. Then just give your PC the max amount of experience based on the mission or adventure you just went on. The game has a hex scroll system, but if you're using a homebrew setting, you could supplement it with other tools that you may have, because the game has its own world, its own setting. But if you don't want to use it, then you can use any other tools for a homebrew setting. Now, some caveats. Combat is slightly crunchy, so be prepared for that. Encounters may take a while. They are not as snappy as other systems, especially for a solo gamer, so just be mindful of that. If you like tactics heavy games, then this might be up your alley. And last but not least, monster stats are your friends. They are designed to be quickly consulted and just played out of the box. So use them and use the monster skills, because they have a lot of skills that you can forget about, but that make the encounters even more deadly for a party of characters. So hopefully these tips allow you to have a fun and enjoyable solo experience with Oathhammer. So there you have it, a few points, a few things about Oathhammer that I think make it an interesting system. I would recommend you play it, and let us know what you like about it. Thank you for watching, and if you'd like me to make more content like this, be sure to follow.